Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Lucas Sosnick, a 17-year-old from New York City who founded Greene Street Games. His first title, Crisis on Cardia, has a unique hook where he'll donate a game to a school for each pledge that he receives. Here to talk about it is Lucas. Lucas, welcome to the Binge. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, it is great to have you on this podcast. This is an inspiration, I think, to a lot of people, right? As a parent myself with kids that are your age, this is my dream, right? That one of them will pick up the mantle and go out there and try a business and kind of just put themselves out there and go at it. And man, to see someone 17-year-old doing this is just awesome. You got to be super proud of yourself. I'm sure your folks are pretty proud too.
Yeah, it's definitely been a crazy journey. I mean, from the start, I started in like 10th grade of my 10th grade summer, and it's just been nonstop for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And it's just like, it feels so rewarding to see this project finally come to life and to be such a major success as well.
So like at 17, I got to imagine most of your life has probably been video games, right? Like gaming consoles and stuff like that. Like, was there ever really board game playing like growing up, or is this something more recent for you? Or
Yeah, so I think board gaming in general has been a more recent thing for me. Although when I was younger, I used to play Magic.
Okay, yeah.
Playing card games in general has been something throughout my life. Like, I was big into Hearthstone, maybe a year or two, maybe 2 years after it came out, and I think I got Legend, which is the highest rank, in about 2 months. So I was pretty good at that game, and I feel like that sort of strategy element that card games often provide interests me a lot, and I think that's why I chose to create a card game rather than a board game to start off. And I don't have the like coding ability to program a video game. So I thought if I want to do game design, it's between a card game and a board game, and a card game is much more up my alley.
You're going to go analog so you can cut it with scissors and print it on a printer, exactly. I guess. Now, when you're playing games, like, is it your family play games, or has it been more with your friends over the years, or?
Yeah, so my family isn't the typical like gaming family.
Yeah.
It's a very new thing, and I feel like me creating a card game has actually helped them understand the gaming world better and get a glimpse into the life that I have lived in since I was very young. Although they're not playing video games, but they still get a sense as to like why games are fun, even though it's not online, which I think is also a major plus for creating a card game, like to share that experience of having fun with my family.
Yeah, it's interesting, this industry. I'm rather new to the industry. I've been doing game design and publishing for the past 3 years. You go back a couple decades when I created my first game, but I never really got into this whole idea of even the idea of publishing it until about 3 years ago with the advent of crowdfunding and Kickstarter. And I like what you're saying there is that, in talking with family and friends, and it's interesting when you play games because you really look at it with very different eyes, and then they start to see it with very different eyes as well, right? Like the idea of mechanics is something that's never even really come up in the past when we play games. But after creating games, you actually start paying attention, right? So you're playing a game, you're actually like, ooh, what's the core mechanic here? Well, how does this work? Oh, that's an interesting decision that the creator had when they did that. Or, maybe you don't like the decision creator made, and I think I'd put a house rule here and so forth. So it really does make you look at this industry with very fresh eyes, I would say. So is this your graduating year then, is it, or?
Yeah, I'm a senior right now, which is
Oh,
basically
cool.
my last year of high school. So.
And then are you going off to college or what's your plan?
Yep. I'm in the midst of college applications, which are not fun and they're very stressful, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna go right now. I'm just applying. I'm planning to apply to a bunch of colleges, so we'll see how
Now, do
that
you have
ends
a
up.
general idea of the kind of discipline you want to get into? Like, is it business or where's your interest lie?
So I don't want to major in business, but I definitely want to go into business when I'm older. Like
Mm,
entrepreneurship is a huge. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. It's just a matter of like what field of study I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start a business in, and to that I've kind of narrowed down my focus to neuroscience slash chemistry, like the
wow,
more hard sciences. So I
that's
want to
hardcore.
create. Yeah, yeah, I mean, my goal is to create a business that's like a neuroscience business or some business that helps people with mental or psychiatric disorders. And I've
Yep.
done research already in that field, like academic research in that field, because I don't know, it's just like depression, for example, is just something that impacts so many of my friends and so many people who I
Yeah.
know. And I feel like if there's something I can do, whether it's like starting a company or creating some new medicine that can help people who suffer depression, schizophrenia, etc., then that's going to be extremely rewarding, and it's going to be a great challenge as well.
Yeah. And maybe Elon Musk will be looking for a summer student during one of your early years, eh? And Neuralink there. That'd be kind of cool. It's certainly when I was thinking about your game and your journey, it kind of made me think. I was wondering, was it the crowdfunding angle that attracted you first, or was the game? Which of those two kind of sparked the intrigue for you? Were you looking at Kickstarter as kind of crowdfunding and then thought, okay, now board game, like a card game, I can kind of fit into that? Or was it more, I want to create a card game and then, oh, by the way, I think I can put this on Kickstarter?
Yeah, so I think it was much more like I want to create a card game and I can put this on Kickstarter.
Mm,
I like the crowdfunding idea, like getting raising money through um, people's belief in your project.
yeah.
Um, but more specifically, I really wanted to create a game because I feel like game design, the skills you learn from game design, um, there's like parallels between those skills and real life. For example, problem solving. Like, let's say a mechanic's not working or the game's not balanced. Trying to figure out a way to fix that or to
Yeah.
slightly change this or that, the little nuts and bolts of the game. Those skills that you gain from creating your own game are super important for any other field of study, like anything you do in life, in my opinion.
And then, so this idea of Crisis on Cardia, how did you come up with the idea for this game?
Yeah, so started about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. The I kind of forget exactly, but it was 10th grade summer pretty much. And I was in quarantine, and like most people, I was very bored, waking up, uh, playing video games, just eating, going to sleep, pretty much the same thing every day. So I was looking for something to do that was a little bit more productive than playing video games every day. So I thought, why not bring my passion of game design to the table? And the thing that actually sparked that idea was a dinner slash uh, card game play session of Exploding Kittens with my mom
Yeah.
one night. It was a random night. We were just chilling, eating dinner. Uh, Exploding Kittens was out on the table for some reason. I don't know why, but I remember that one of my friends from my camp, we played it at my camp, and it was really fun. So you're like, why not just play this game here and see how it goes? Turns out it was super fun. And the next morning, I was like, I have a purpose. I know what to do. And from then on, I've just been grinding and really working hard at um, creating a game that that uh, that not only is super fun to play and is easily accessible for new gamers and veterans
Hmm.
alike, but also that helps to educate and build confidence in today's medical professionals. Because I wanted to use this game as a way to, as sort of an educational tool as well, and bring some good about it rather than just make money.
Yeah.
And that was one of the driving forces. of creating this game.
And so, I mean, it seems maybe obvious, but the pandemic, in terms of the theme, did that play a role in it? Or I imagine you
Yeah.
did, yeah.
So the original title of the game was actually Quarantine, which
Quarantine. Oh, Team. Oh, that's cool.
yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting idea, but I felt like it was missing a part of me and who I was. And so I was kind of thinking, how do I add my personality while still maintaining the core focus of like educating people about the heroes of the pandemic and still relating to the basically why I set out to make the game. And so I basically switched the theme to a sci-fi theme and called it Crisis on Cardea. Um, and the idea is that Cardea is basically a planet far in the future, and it's humanity's last colony. And the goal of the game is basically to build teams of Cardeans to resolve viral outbreaks, because Cardea is home to so many viral outbreaks. And actually, the inspiration for the name Cardea comes from the Roman goddess of health.
Ah,
And I
cool.
thought that was pretty cool because like health relates to, you know, pandemic, viruses, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
and the medical field. And it's a card game, so Cardea.
And then you've got these different ecosystems within the planet. So how does that work? How
Mm.
does that come into play?
Yeah, so this was another thing that I wanted to add just because I think it's pretty cool to show off diverse biomes in
Hmm.
any planet, like in any sci-fi uh, media. So basically how the planet works is that it's on sort of a different tilt than Earth, allowing for like Arctic poles on the top and bottom, and then you have a sort of uh like jungle region in between there,
Yep.
and then you have a desert. Actually, sorry, no, no, the desert regions above, and then a jungle region in between. And these biomes
Hmm.
are sort of extreme. They're very, very extreme, much more extreme than you would find on Earth. And if you take a look at the pictures or that little GIF
Yep.
on the Kickstarter, you can see sort of like the animated live version of how the biomes look on the planet of Cardea. And the
That's
space station, obviously, because it's a sci-fi game, and kind of need a space station.
What I think is really cool is that you, I mean, the temptation could obviously be, okay, how do I make this just kind of a metaphor for what's going on right now in the world? But I like the fact that you pushed it into the future and you pushed it onto another planet, right? So it's obviously inspired by current events, but it's not
Mm,
kind of a replay of current events, right? Because that's a little close to the nose for
right.
some people. So I think that was pretty smart how you guys kind of took that approach to
Yeah.
say, let's make this another planet and so forth. And in terms of coming up with this story, was it just got out your pen and paper and just started writing the story and the characters, or how did that come about?
Um, the story of how Cardea began,
Yeah,
and
the whole backstory.
yeah, I mean, I think that just came with time, like discussions, not only not only my thoughts, but also discussions with one of my team members, Olivier Miller,
Okay.
who's instrumental in getting this Kickstarter to launch, along with other people, which I'll talk about later. But uh, we discussed this a lot, and we tried to come up with ideas for like how the planet would look, what the planet would be called, what different Cardane specialists we wanted to include, and how we wanted to depict who they are,
Yeah.
like how they look, and what they're doing on the card art. Uh,
Yeah, that's cool. And then this whole idea of giving a game away for each pledge, how did like walk me through that? Like,
yeah,
how did that come about?
yeah. So that's I forgot to mention this, but that was actually one of the first things also. Like right when I started creating the game, I knew I wanted to have some sort of charitable aspect or to incorporate some way of giving back to the community.
Hmm.
And the basic idea is that for every game sold, one will be donated to a public school, and the backer can choose what public school it is, or just leave it up to us. And the reason I did this is because one, I wanted to share game like my passion of games and maybe inspire someone who's in a younger generation to start a board game or card game of their own.
Hmm.
Um, and two, I think it's helpful for students to learn about these important um, jobs slash heroes of the pandemic,
Hmm.
like the virologist, epidemiologist, and really get to know what they do and why they were so important slash are so important.
In terms of donating these copies, so somebody will do a pledge, and then you guys will match. They get their game, I guess, during fulfillment, and then the pledge copy at the same time. I guess during fulfillment stage, people fill out a survey and they'll say, okay, I want to go to such and such a school, or we have a list of schools they can choose from, or like I'm in Canada, for instance. So if I want to back, I think it's set in your sheet. This is for USA schools only. So I would back, but I would, have the confidence and comfort knowing that you guys will find an appropriate school in the area
Mm.
to send the game to. Is that how that kind of works?
Yeah, that's true. So we're basically giving backers the option of like, uh, if you have a school in mind that you want to have your copy donated to, you'll have the option to do that. Or if you don't and you just want to copy the game while still giving one to a public school, then we'll handle that. And that's going to be primarily like right now, it's just going to be focused more on New York schools because that's my community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to give back to my immediate community first. And
Sure.
maybe if the game gets much bigger, then we'll sort of expand to different states slash regions of the country. But yeah,
So this game is I would describe this game as kind of a basic, basic's probably not the word, a simplified deck builder. So you've got, because most people know what a deck builder is, right? But this, you have essentially your scientists that you're collecting, and then I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's like planet cards that are dealt out, and they are your victory points. Each of them have certain requirements to enable to, I guess, solve them, that crisis. And then you would use your scientists as you're building your deck to start resolving some of those crises. Is that how that works?
yeah. So without going into specifics, the basic idea is that there's these outbreak cards,
Mm-hmm.
and each outbreak card has a certain color combination. For example, maybe blue, uh, gray, green,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be worth maybe 4 points. You resolve outbreak cards by placing Cardane specialists, which also are color coded, in the order that the outbreak card is represents, like the
Got it.
outbreak card says. And if you have that correct order, you get the points, and first person to 10 points wins, pretty much. And there's also action cards to spice things up, and unique Cardane specialists, which we call hero cards, which also add a bit of strategy slash like cool moments.
I love it, and this is one thing that my brother and Adam and I have been playing a lot of deck builders lately because we're working on doing a deck building game. So best way to do that is actually play other deck building games. And when I think about playing this with people who are non gamers or even playing with younger kids. Some of the deck builders are a bit complicated. And so what I really thought was cool about your game is it seems, I think you used the word accessible earlier, which I thought was a great word because it's not about being simple, it's about being accessible. How can I bring the concept of deck building to somebody who's maybe a new gamer or to somebody that's younger or somebody who just wants to have a casual play and they don't want to go like too heavy into a game? This seems like it's that. It seems like this is very accessible for people to want to do that. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. I think, or I know one of the main goals of creating this game was to create a game that would be fun for new players because my
Mm-hmm.
friends and family are not all like super hardcore gamers and veteran board gamers alike. I want it to be easy to learn but hard to master.
Yeah.
And I think I've accomplished that with this game. Maybe not hard to master like Magic the Gathering level,
Yeah.
but it's still there's some depth to it,
Like
which is good.
Dominion or something like that. And
Yeah.
then how long is it? What's your gameplay length? How long does the game take to play?
Yeah, so it depends on the number of players, which is it's 2 to 5 players. I think I didn't mention that, but yeah, it's 2 to 5 players, and it's usually around 15 to 30 minutes,
Okay.
depending on how many players there are. It's pretty
Awesome.
quick.
Can you tell us a little bit about your team? So I noticed on your campaign page here, you've got a team that you've built up. How did you find these people and kind of what role do they play on your team and how does that all work?
Yeah, so I think the biggest or the best way that we found team members was that me and my mom like went on Facebook groups and just started contacting a bunch of people and just made connections with other people and talked with a bunch of different people. Like we interviewed a bunch of people and just, you know, uh I think we talked me and my dad talked or my dad and I talked to like three or four artists
Hmm.
just to get a sense of how art works in the board game industry before deciding on which artist we actually wanted to go with. So if you look at the team section of the Kickstarter, you'll see Olivier and Dina
Hmm.
at the top, and these Olivier and Dina were essential to the Kickstarter. Like I honestly don't think it would happen if it weren't for them. And Dina's role was basically like marketing and helping to put the Kickstarter together, and Olivier's role was helping me with um, sort of like the game design, early stages of art, and also helping put the Kickstarter together. So they were really integral to the process. Um, in terms of art, we have Zore Grich. I'm not sure if I pronounced the name correctly because that artist was from Fiverr. And he
Yeah.
did an excellent job on the landscapes or the Outbreak cards, which um, they're honestly fantastic. And then Nicholas, who's working on the Cardain Specialists, which we're not done with yet,
Yep.
but it's Kickstarter, so it's gonna come. It's gonna come. Uh, and Timo, who did the video and some of the graphic design for the Kickstarter, and I think he also did a fantastic job. If you look at the Kickstarter video, it's really cool. It's all animated and stuff like that. And Hungry Gamer, which was recommended by Dina as well, and he did the voice acting in the Kickstarter video. So
That's quite, and I would say that video is awesome. I love the video.
yeah,
I thought it was fantastic. So congrats on that. It
thank
is
you.
amazing how much difference a video can make, right? And even Kickstarter will say that, like when you go launch your game, as you're first kind of building it out, they put in there, we highly recommend you have a video, period, any video. That is going to give you that much more backers than if you have no video. It's almost unheard of for somebody to do a campaign without a video now. But then when you have a video that's polished like what you've put together here, it really kind of adds just a nice little kind of finish on it. So I thought that was really awesome. And it quite frankly helped build out the world. I
Mm.
found, right? Like when I looked at that, I'm like, okay, I get a sense of this world that he's created. And then, so with Olivier, so he took your, like what part of where were you with with your game at the point when you brought him in? So you said he's kind of helped a bit with kind of steering some of the game mechanics or game design. How did that work, or what did it look like before you kind of brought him in?
Yeah, so before we brought him in, I think the game was a little bit unpolished, and I wasn't satisfied because I felt like there was a few like loose ends. There was it was like not simplified enough, and I felt like uh things could have just been like there was a way to create the game so that I could explain it much easier and it would be more fun as well. And I think Olivia helped me get to that point because we were talking a lot and problem solving, trying to figure out ways how to balance the game, how to change mechanics to make it more fun. We even removed something called mutation cards, which
Hmm.
might come in a future expansion if I choose to do that.
Yeah.
But because mutation cards, there's basically like whenever you draw one of them, it adds a new rule. It got a little bit too crazy. There's
Yeah.
like flux in that sense, but it's still a fun idea. Uh, but not for the first production of the game.
So
Not for
were
the
you
first one.
like emailing back and forth like print and play versions, or did you guys use like Tabletop Simulator, or how did you work on that together? Like walk us through that process, the back and forth.
Yeah, so we had a lot of Zoom calls, like a lot of Zoom calls. We did a lot of Tabletopia play sessions.
Hmm.
Um, and actually, we have a pretty much anyone if anyone can play the Tabletopia demo. Just send us a message and we'll send it to you because it's readily available. Um, and yeah, Tabletopia, we made a bunch of changes to Tabletopia and just kept playtesting there. And then we met up in person. It did more playtests, and from there, I started playtesting with other people, friends, family, and just getting ideas as to what works, what doesn't, what they like, what they don't like. And I think the playtesting process was also really important. It's so unique to game design.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't feel like you find that in any other like field or yeah, feel or like discipline.
I think the blind play testing really helps too, right? Because there's
Mm.
so many times that I've, blind play tested a game, and there's always, it comes back where someone say, well, what about this? I'm not really sure I understand this rule, or I'm not really sure what to do here. So it exposes very quickly the holes in your rule book, right? Very, very
Mm.
quickly. And then secondly, there's always, I love it because there's always something that's going to pop up that you maybe didn't think of, right? Or you think, oh, maybe I could do that differently. I think of, there's a game we've got coming out soon called Hamsters versus Hippos. And I was watching a reviewer, their video of the solo version of this game. And while they're playing, to track which hamster they moved the last, they would then lay the hamster down. And I'm like, that is so clever and so obvious, and I didn't think of it. Right? So guess what we're going to incorporate in our playbook when we redo our rules before we launch the game? We're going to take that, hey, here's a tip on how to track which hamster you moved when. So it is so essential to get this feedback from people and kind of try to incorporate it where you can. So then when Dina came in, so did she come in at a later date then? So when you kind of had everything polished with Olivier, then she came in and started saying, okay, now here's how we're going to structure the page, or?
Yeah, so she came in at a later date and helped with all like the marketing aspect of bringing a game to Kickstarter, like helping promote the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Kickstarter, and she was vital to bring this game to Kickstarter because she had a lot of connections.
Yeah.
Which also, like for example, Timo and Hungry Gamer, which allowed us to speed up the production of this game, or speed up like bringing it to Kickstarter. And yeah, she is just like very helpful because I could not do the marketing without her. Like, I'm not very good at Facebook. In fact, I don't know at all how to use Facebook. So,
Well, your generation doesn't use Facebook, right?
yeah,
So
I don't use Facebook at all. I had to create a Facebook account and was like struggling. Like, I had to verify my account.
I actually had that with my kid the other day. They said they almost missed an appointment because someone sent them details in Messenger, and they're like,
Yeah.
I never look at Messenger. Why would I look at Messenger? Why would the person even send to me this information on Messenger? They're the same age as I am. This is crazy. So yeah, nobody your age is using Facebook. But ironically, Facebook is still the largest generator of traffic for Kickstarter, specifically in the board game industry. So it's something that is absolutely essential from advertising standpoint. Did you guys invest in any kind of ads or anything like that? Or did you guys put any kind of investment into promotion, or what did you do there?
Yeah, so for promotion, we're doing a lot of Instagram ads, Facebook ads, and just promoting the posts. I also think we're gonna start incorporating maybe like newsletters or some other stuff. But as of right now, it's been mainly like the promotion of posts and that type of stuff.
That's cool.
Oh, and also like reviews / overviews.
And now, have you guys thought about like pledge management? Are you going to use a pledge manager, or are you looking at doing your own survey through the tools in Kickstarter, or like how are you going to manage that?
Yeah, I think we're using BackerKit.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I think we're gonna make we're not gonna do it on our own because I think it's just easier to use a pledge manager.
It is super easy, and I am still shocked that Kickstarter hasn't looked at that and said, why don't we just replicate what these other professionals have done an amazing job at and do it ourselves. They still don't provide it as an internal service. I have personally used the one that Kickstarter provides. It is not great. And it puts a lot of work on your shoulders, which is not great. So yeah, if you can do a BackerKit or, CrowdOx, which is now owned by BackerKit, or any of these guys, GameFound, another one, all these tools are there to help you, right? So where do you go from here? What, like, have you been bitten by the bug? Are you going to keep designing games, or are you going to take a break, or what's your plan?
So I've thought about it. I'm not entirely sure, but if I were to design more games, I know what I would like, what the topic would be. And I've had two ideas. One of them is something to do with chemistry or like organic chemistry, something like a very advanced topic, but presented in a way that's educational but also fun. So I've noticed that like one of the best ways to teach things is through games, in my personal experience, because that's just people remember that better, and it's just more fun. Like you enjoy the learning process.
Sure.
So that's an idea. I was thinking maybe like, for example, I could create the art of like a caffeine molecule in the shape of coffee or something like that, or like little cool things like that. But that's just that's for I'm nowhere near ready with that. Like that's just like thoughts at this point.
Oh, that's cool.
The other idea would be maybe something about jazz or jazz history, because I play alto saxophone,
Oh, wow.
and one of my favorite genre of music is jazz, and I am in the jazz band and I love to play alto sax. It's a huge part of my life. And thinking maybe creating a card game or maybe a board game that either shows the history of jazz and how it's progressed, or maybe is like the different instruments of jazz, and present them in a cool and unique way that's fun and engaging.
No, that's cool. Lucas, I am so happy for you of what you've been able to do here. This is it is certainly incredible what you've done. It's an inspiration for people your age, people that are older than you that are not getting off their butts and getting kind of going after their dreams should listen to this and say, gosh, if somebody 17 is willing to say, you know what, I'm going to go figure this out, anybody can go and figure out their dreams. So I want to wish you all the best on this campaign. You guys are rocking. I'm sure it's going to just keep climbing. I can't wait to see where this thing ends. And I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you want to find us on Twitter, it's @CardeaOn. If you want to find us on Instagram, it's @Crisis on Cardea. And Facebook, Green Street Games, and Kickstarter, just Crisis on Cardea.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply join the Facebook group Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.